Hi, it's Steph, and it's been a few weeks, but we're back at Lowe's, and let's go see what they've got. They have these really pretty containers of houseplants that you can certainly put outside on your deck or patio. But when the summer is over, you can bring them indoor and care for them as a houseplant. Really pretty. These are $39.98. They have some hydrangeas here in the shady part of the store. And this one here is the Quickfire. It's a Panicle Hydrangea by Proven Winners. And it likes sun and part shade. It's early blooming, cold hardy, and it's hardy in zones 3 through 8 or down to -40 degrees, and it gets to be 6 to 8 feet tall and wide. I actually have this one in my garden, and it's a really beautiful hydrangea. The panicles are not as tight clusters like you would see with a limelight. They're a little bit more like, say, a lace cap, if that makes sense, but they are really beautiful. These are 2-gallon containers for $28.98. They have this Panicle Hydrangea called Little Hottie. It seems to be the first edition's version of the Little Lime, and it is a full sun to part sun exposure. It needs medium water, which hydrangeas typically err on the side of needing a little bit more water. And the size is 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. And look at these panicles. Absolutely beautiful. They look like they have little pearls in the center. And these here are 2 gallons for $27.98. And look at this guy. This is a variegated foliage hydrangea. I have actually never seen such a thing. It is absolutely beautiful. Just the foliage is pretty, and there's not even any blooms on this yet. These are by first editions, and it is called Lido Day Hydrangea Macrophylla Bale Day. And let's see what it says here. It is a full sun exposure. It gets to be 3 to 5 feet tall and wide, hardy in zones 5 through 9, or winter hardy to -20, medium water, and it is, it looks to be like one of those lace cap type hydrangeas. But this foliage, wow. Let's see how much it is. This is a pretty good sized container. If I had to guess, maybe a 3-gallon. Yeah, so it's 3 gallons for $34.98. Hydrangea Lido Day. And here is the Little Lime Panicle Hydrangea. This one is the star of the show in my garden at the moment. It is also a panicle type hydrangea. It likes sun or part shade, hardy in zones 3 through 8 or to -40 degrees. It gets to be 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. And look at these beautiful blooms. They start off this green color, and then they get a little more creamy, and then white as the season progresses, and before they start aging to a pink and then an antique pink. Just a really beautiful hydrangea. I have mine in a full sun location, and they have not started to burn at all, which is amazing. They are handling the sun like a champ. These are $28.98 for 2 gallons. This is the color that the Little Limes turn into. They have a photo on the back of the Limelight. So this is the Limelight. This is the bigger version of the Little Lime. It's also a Proven Winners Panicle Hydrangea. This one just gets to be larger. So this one is also sun or part shade, USDA zones 3 through 9, hardy to -40 degrees, and they get 6 to 8 feet tall and wide. But the blooms are the same, where they start off with this green color before they turn creamy, and as the season progresses, they start to age to these beautiful shades of pink. So the Limelight is 2 gallons for $28.98. They're also carrying the Quick Fire Fab. So this is an improved version of the Quick Fire Hydrangea. This is also a Panicle Hydrangea, but the difference is that these start blooming even sooner and the blooms are a lot fuller. So these panicles are fuller, kind of like the Limelight, where the traditional Quick Fire has more of the open lace cap that kind of looks more like those mountain type hydrangeas. So this is the newer one, the Quick Fire Fab. It likes sun and part shade. It's early blooming, cold hardy. It's hardy in zones 3 through 8 or to -40 degrees. And it gets to be 6 to 8 feet tall and 5 to 6 feet wide. Quick Fire Fab. And this one is $27.98 for a 2 gallon. And this one actually looks like, you know, it doesn't have any blooms on it. They maybe cleaned it up a little bit. Has some new growth. And these look like maybe they got a little too much sun. But if you buy this and, you know, plant it in the landscape, it'll rebound next year. They have some Tough Stuff Aha Mountain Hydrangeas. It says it's a reliable rebloomer by Proven Winners. This one is sun or part shade, hardy in zones 5 through 9 or to -20 degrees. Gets 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, so nice compact size. And it blooms early summer through fall. And now these types of hydrangeas it'll depend what kind of soil you have to determine what type of color that the bloom will be. So if you have acidic soil, they'll be on the bluer side, and if you have more alkaline soil, they'll be on the pinker or purple side. But this is what these lace cap hydrangeas look like. Really pretty. This one here is a 2 gallon size for $28.98. They have some emerald and gold Euonymus for $27.98. It's a really pretty foliage evergreen. And so this, being an evergreen, will not lose its foliage. And it is hardy in zones, let's see here, it's non-hardy in 1 through 4, so it's hardy in zones 5 and up. So zone 5. And up to -10 degrees, or down to -10, I should say. Average size is 4 feet high by 4 feet wide. It has really pretty foliage. This one's $27.98. While it is still summer, it's important to start thinking ahead to other seasons, and specifically if you live in an area where you get some snow, winter interest. So here is a lemon thread false cypress for $29.98. It's a really pretty evergreen in this lemony green kind of color, yellow green. Its average size is a 3 to 5 high and 2 to 4 wide. Cold hardy down to zone 4, so really hardy, down to -20 degrees. I have a couple of these in my garden and they're really low maintenance and such a beautiful shrub for evergreen interest in this color that contrasts so well. It's got a nice color and a nice texture. They have some Proven Winners Weigela. This one is called Very Fine Wine. And let's see here. It likes sun. It's a petite shrub coming in at 2 to 2.5 feet tall and wide, hardy in zones 4 through 8. And it says it's spring, summer, and fall interest. And in fact, it has this beautiful dark foliage that still has some blooms going on. Look at that. Pretty pink tubular flowers. So the hummingbirds would love these. And these are, let's see, a 2 gallon shrub for $27.98. Oh, they're starting to add some shrubs for fall color. This one here is a purple leaf sand cherry bush. It's $24.98. And let's see, spacing varies, average mature size as desired. So it sounds like you can prune it to size control it. Hardy down to zone 3, so really hardy, negative 30 degrees. And it is a red foliage shrub. It is a full sun shrub, and typically what happens when shrubs that are full sun that are supposed to be red look this color green, it's because it wasn't getting enough sun. So it's possible that these were in a shaded location in some kind of shipment truck, but the new growth is red, and these sand cherries are typically red shrubs. They still have some lilacs, so if you wanted to plant a lilac this fall so that you'd have some flowers, some lilacs in the spring, that would be a great thing to do. This is a lilac dwarf Korean purple for 1.71 gallon for $23.98. There isn't a spec card on these, but they can get pretty big. If I had to guess, probably in that 6 to 8 foot range, but given that this one's dwarf, it might stay a little smaller, maybe anywhere between the 4 to 6 foot range. But give it enough space just in case. Lilacs are a wonderful spring bloom. They smell absolutely divine. Another thing that you can think about planting in the fall for some winter interest are some hollies. So these are also wonderful evergreens. This one here is the Blue Princess, and they also have the Blue Prince. Now, something to note about hollies is if you want to get these berries, see this one's already starting to put on berries, you need to have both the female or the princess and the male, the prince holly. And one male shrub, if I'm not mistaken, can fertilize up to 5 female shrubs. So as long as you have a male or a prince holly within a 50 to 100 feet radius, you should get berries. So let's check these out. So the Blue Prince holly is $29.98, and this one gets to be 12 high by 12 wide, hardy to zone 5, and these are part sun at 3 to 6 hours of morning sun. And so that's the Prince, and the Blue Princess holly, and the female bush is the one that will bear the berries. And this one here, let's see, it gets to be 14 high by 12 wide, so a little bit taller than the Prince, about the same width, hardy down to zone 5 or negative 10 degrees. And this one's also part sun, and this one is $29.98. Really good plants for winter interest. Look how beautiful these shiny green leaves are. And then you get those gorgeous red berries in the winter that the birds can snack on, or that you can clip some to make some arrangements. Really beautiful. They have some of these Oh So Easy Hot Paprika Shrub Roses by Proven Winners. It is $29.98, and it's a 2-gallon container. They like sun, and they are 1 to 2 feet tall and 2 to 4 wide. Hardy zones 3 through 9. Really pretty bloom. It's like a coral orange. A couple of other shrubs for some fall interest, some viburnums. This one is the viburnum Japanese Snowball, and it has a round cluster, like a softball size, that almost looks like hydrangea blooms. And they bloom in spring. They get 6 to 10 feet high and 4 to 6 wide. And they are hardy to zone 5 or negative 10 degrees. And they like full sun. And the foliage, this is where the fall interest comes in with these, will turn red burgundy in the fall. It has these really pretty serrated leaves. I actually bought one of these recently. This one and this one, because I did not have any viburnums in my garden. So this is a Proven Winners viburnum, a double file version, double file viburnum, called Steady Eddy. If I'm not mistaken, this is a newer version, a newer viburnum for Proven Winners that's just starting to show up in garden centers. These like sun and part shade, and they are hardy in zones 5 through 8, and they get to be 4 to 5 tall and wide. So a more compact size viburnum, and the blooms are a little different than the Snowball, where they look like one of those mountain or lace cap type hydrangeas. This is the Steady Eddy, and this one is 1.71 gallons for $28.98. Here's another cool shrub with some variegated foliage, and this is the dwarf bush honeysuckle called Cool Splash. It is by First Editions. This is a 2-gallon size for $27.98, and look at the foliage. Really pretty. And then it looks like these are the blooms. I'm going to give it a sniff test. This honeysuckle does not smell, but if you grow this one for the foliage, it's really pretty. It would give an interesting contrast. In these First Edition shrubs, they also have this really pretty 9-bark, another shrub that would be wonderful for fall interest. This one is called Fireside, and it is a full sun exposure. The foliage is deep red to purple, and it gets to be 5 to 7 feet high and 4 to 6 wide, and it is drought tolerant. Hardy to zone 3. Look at the leaves on these. Really pretty. Let's see how much they are. So these are $27.98 for a 2-gallon size, and it's called Fireside. Now this is a beautiful looking lilac. This is by Monrovia, and it's called Sensation Lilac. And what's different about this one is the size of the foliage. Typically lilacs have a little bit smaller leaf, but this one is really big. And let's see, how big does this one get? So this one here is a spring blooming shrub. It likes full sun, and it gets to be 6 wide by 10 high, and it is $84 here at Lowe's. Really healthy looking. Here's another type of viburnum. This one's called Prague. It's by Monrovia, and this one has a very small leaf, but it's shiny. Also has that serrated look, and it looks kind of like an airy shrub. Very open. And let's see how big it gets. This one gets 8 feet wide, 10 feet high. It likes partial to full sun, water when the top 2 inches of soil is dry. It blooms in spring. Let's see, hardy in zones 5 through 8, or down to -20, and it quickly reaches 8 to 10 feet tall and 6 to 8 feet wide. So this one needs some space, and this one is $74. I have this shrub in my garden, and I absolutely love it, but you should know that if you are going to add it, it does like to get a little carried away, sending runners everywhere. So you'll have to be on top of pulling those so it doesn't become invasive. But it is by Monrovia. This is a false spirea. This one is $46.98, and this beautiful yellow color with shades of pink and a little hint of orange and yellow is just absolutely stunning. That is its full new foliage color, or spring color. You can actually see a little bit of it here. And then it goes green. But what's really interesting about this shrub is that it has a long season of interest, because it starts with these gorgeous colors in the spring, then it gets green, but it also sends out these plumes of these really fuzzy little white flowers that are really, really dainty, but cool looking because they look fuzzy and have these little pearl centers. But also, if you look at the foliage, it looks like a fern. So it's just a very all-around interesting shrub, which is really cool. But like I said, it does seem to have a tendency to want to kind of, run itself out of its space. So you have to kind of keep an eye on that. It gets to be 6 feet wide and 6 feet tall. Easy to size control. After it blooms, I give it a good hard cut back, and I kind of keep it in that, 4 foot range, 4 by 4. And so this one is partial to full sun. It blooms spring to summer, hardy in zones 2 through 11, so really hardy in a large range, really, from 2 to 11. And hardy to -50 degrees, moderate growing, reaches 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. And yeah, so this is by Monrovia. This little cutie caught my eye here. Look at these pretty blooms. This shrub is called a bellini grape crepe myrtle. It stays compact. It's $46.98, also by Monrovia. It says it gets 4 feet wide by 4 feet tall. It is full sun, water deeply when soil is dry, blooms midsummer through early fall. Oh, so that's pretty good. So this is good for late color, late summer, early fall color. And it's hardy in zones 5 through 9 or down to -20 degrees. And it grows moderately fast, reaching only 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. Look at these pretty blooms. Really dainty, but a very vibrant magenta color. Here's another shrub you'll be happy to plant in the fall so that you can get that very late winter, early spring color. It blooms with these little bell-shaped flowers. This one here is Enchanted Forest River Nymph Papyrus or Papyrus japonica. It is $46.98. It says early blooms. It gets 6 feet wide and 6 feet tall. It likes filtered to partial sun. Blooms late winter to early spring. USDA zone 6 through 8, hardy to -10 degrees, and it's moderate growing, mounded shrub, reaches 5 to 6 feet tall and wide. And even its new foliage is really pretty. Has like that light pink orangey color. It's evergreen, so it doesn't lose its foliage, and it stays this way all winter, all year really, and then in the late winter, early spring, it will send out those clusters of blooms, which are really pretty. They have some shrub roses. They say they are fuss-proof. This is the Calypso, which is a really pretty, like a peachy pink color. The foliage looks really healthy on these. And let's read the specs on them. So this one here, it likes full sun. It blooms repeat through the season. It needs to be kept moist, hardy to zone 5, and the size is 2 by 2, so nice and compact. You can even tuck this in the front of a border. And let's see how much they are. So these 2-gallon containers are $21.98. Here's a shrub I've been contemplating for a couple of years now. It's the Sugar Tip Rose of Sharon. It says it's seedless. Here's the thing with Rose of Sharon. If you're not familiar with them, they have a tendency to be invasive. They drop their seeds, and before you know it, you have Rose of Sharon babies everywhere. So this particular variety here, let's see, the Sugar Tip Rose of Sharon. Let me get one that's a little easier to read. Here we go. Look how beautiful that is. It's a Rose of Sharon with variegated foliage and these beautiful light pink blooms. So here we go. It likes a sun exposure. It is seedless, long blooming. It has season of interest is spring, summer, and fall. It's hardy in zones 5 through 9 or to -20 degrees. And it gets to be 5 to 6 feet tall and wide. So a really good size shrub. Beautiful. And look at this. It's on sale. It was $27.98 and now it's $19.98. This might be a sign. Look at these, look at the shrub. It's so pretty. And the blooms, it looks like the bees like them because there's one in there getting a snack. Really pretty. Here's another Proven Winners Rose of Sharon. This one's called Ruffled Satin. It's not in bloom yet, but it is all budded up, so it would bloom for you in your garden if you picked one of these up. Has a really pretty bloom, almost reminds me of the hardy hibiscus. And this one here is a sun shrub. It blooms in summer, hardy in zones 5 through 9, and this one's large. It gets to be 8 to 12 feet tall and 4 to 6 feet wide. Really pretty. And this one is about a 3-gallon size. And look, it's also on sale. So was $39.98 and now it's $29.98. They have some summer sweet. This one's called Sugartina crystallina. And it says it's fragrant. And it is sun or part shade, hardy in zones 4 through 9. It gets to be 2.5 to 3 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. And it says it blooms in summer, so it's getting ready to bloom. Look how pretty that is. White blooms, and it's fragrant. I wish that it was blooming so I could give it a sniff. Let's see. It is $27.98, and this is a 2-gallon size. This one is not on sale. Look at this gorgeous Rose of Sharon. This one here is called, let's see, White Pillar. So this is White Pillar Rose of Sharon, and it is a, let's see here, sun exposure. It's hardy in zones 5 through 9 or down to -20 degrees. And wow, this one gets really big, but narrow, so that's good. Can be tucked in somewhere. So 10 to 16 feet tall and 2 to 3 feet wide. So the features are it's very narrow, heat tolerant, and durable. Blooms in summer. Beautiful. So this one was $44.98 for the 5 gallon. It is now $36.98. Really pretty white blooms. They also have these Rose of Sharon trees. This one's called White Chiffon. It is $64.98 for a 5 gallon. Has a nice tree-like stem, and then the blooms up top. And these are also on sale, actually, because we saw the tag that said $64.98, and right here it says was $64.98, now $49.98. Now this is in my store in Zone 6B in Massachusetts, but you can look at your store if they carry these and if they might be marked down there as well. I know that variety, selections and prices will vary by location. Look at this beautiful Rose of Sharon. We're in the Rose of Sharon area right now. This one is the first edition shrub. This one's called French Cabaret Red, and it has a beautiful bloom. Look at that. Gorgeous. And this one's full sun, dark green foliage, hardy to zone 5, gets 5 to 8 high by 4 to 7 wide. And this one is, let's see, 2 gallons for $27.98. Really pretty bloom. It's like a mauve color, really. I don't know what color it's coming up on camera, but in person it looks like a wine merlot kind of that's faded into a mauve. They have the Proven Winners Blue Chiffon Rose of Sharon, and this one here needs sun. Oh, look at the color on that one. Beautiful. Hardy in zones 5 through 9 or down to -20 degrees. It gets 8 to 12 feet tall, 6 to 10 wide. Blooms in summer. Really pretty. This one is $27.98 for 2 gallons. And the last Rose of Sharon I'm going to look at before we move on to something new is this Little Kim Rose of Sharon by Proven Winners. Look at that. So tropical looking. This is a dwarf one, I'm pretty sure. Let's look at the size. Yeah, so this one here gets 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, hardy in zones 5 through 9, and it likes the sun exposure. It's a petite shrub. And this one is also on sale, was $27.98, now $19.98. And they have Millennium Allium. If you don't have this perennial in your garden, I highly recommend it. Not only is it beautiful, the pests don't touch it. In my garden, the bunnies stay away, the deer stay away. Supposedly rodents don't dig them up because they are part of the onion family. Look at these beautiful little round pom-poms. They haven't even bloomed yet because these are going to open up, these little bloom heads. Okay, these are absolutely beautiful. Now, if you buy one of these, the container is a little expensive, I find, for their house brand perennial at $14.98, but this is perennial. And so what you can do is when you take this out of this container, you can split this at least in half. So right off the bat, you can get 2 out of this. And this is the Millennium variety. So I have the Millennium and I have the Amethyst Bubbles in my garden, and the Millennium is what's in bloom right now in my garden, actually. And so this one, it blooms in summer. It is $14.98. It keep moist the first year, and then occasionally after that. They are cold hardy to zone 5 or to -10 degrees. They get to be 12 to 24 inches high and 12 to 24 inches wide. I really love these. Allium. So there's the allium that you can plant in the fall that will bloom early in the spring, and those are the bulb alliums. These are what they call the perennial alliums. They come in a clump, and you would plant the clump. They also have kind of a bulbous root, but they're just different than the ones that you plant as a bulb in the fall. Really pretty. This one's a little more open, you can see, And it gets a lot fluffier as this all opens. These are also a pollinator magnet. They have some hardy hibiscus. This is the Luna variety. I have a Luna white in my garden that looks like this. It's absolutely beautiful. And these are perennials that come back every year. They bloom this time of year, mid to late summer. They are $16.98 here. Let's see. They like moisture, I know that, because if they start getting dry, they start to flop a tiny bit, kind of like a hydrangea. They're actually called swamp mallow, so they're typically grown in swampier, wetter areas, which is why they probably like water. That would make sense, right? So they're hardy to zone 5, and they are cold hardy, so to negative 10 degrees, and these get 24 to 36 inches high and 18 to 24 inches wide. And they seem to have this fuchsia pink here at Lowe's. Oh, I see another one on the other side. Let's go look at it. They also have this beautiful pink one. It kind of looks like those peppermint starlight candies to me. Really pretty. They've restocked on perennials, and let's take a peek and see what they've got. They have this Pimen dianthus, which is a really pretty pink dianthus. And it looks like it stays kind of petite based on the shape of it. So this is $8.98. It's an upright perennial, and it is hardy to zone 4, and it gets 12 inches high and 10 inches wide. Right on the side of it, they have some salvia. So this one is called Swifty Violet Salvia. It is a full sun perennial. It's a mounding perennial, and it is hardy to zone 5 or negative 10 degrees, and it gets 8 to 12 inches high and 10 to 12 inches wide. Really pretty violet purple color. And if you plant them this fall, you'll be ready for some beautiful spring blooms in 2023. They have a couple varieties of yarrow. Yarrow is one of my top 5 perennials. I have a video that I can actually link, and they are so long blooming, and even when the blooms fade, they still look beautiful. And so this one is called Sassy Summer Sangria Yarrow. It's $8.98. It blooms summer through fall, and it is hardy to negative 30 or zone 3, so really hardy. And these get 30 to 36 inches high and 36 to 42 inches wide. This is the color on this one. So the sangria is a red, and it looks like it fades to a bit of a fuchsia pink, and then finally to a mauvey pink. That's the thing that's beautiful about yarrow. It goes through various color changes. From when it first emerges, it almost has like 3 colors. And at some point, you'll get all 3 colors on the same plant, and it's really beautiful. Here's another yarrow. This one is called Sassy Summer Taffy Yarrow, and this one is shades of pink. Also $8.98. Perennial, means it comes back every year. It is hardy to zone 3, so really hardy, down to negative 30 degrees. It gets 30 to 36 inches high and 36 to 42 wide. And here's the shades of pink on this one. So it starts off with this really pretty darker pink that you see here. And then it ages to this soft rosy pink. So on one plant, you can see multiple shades of pink. Really pretty. Rudebeckia, another great perennial for your mid to late summer, early fall color. This one's $8.98. These are also known as black-eyed Susans or brown-eyed Susans. They are hardy to negative 30 degrees or zone 3. They get to be 24 high by 18 wide. And look at this really pretty golden yellow color. And it actually looks gorgeous with that purple pink phlox right beside it. They almost look like a version of a sunflower. Here is that beautiful garden phlox. And this one is called Cover Girl Garden Phlox. It's an upright perennial. It's $8.98. It is full sun. It is hardy to zone 3 or negative 30 degrees. It gets 38 to 42 inches high and 24 to 28 inches wide. Look at this color. They still have lots of gorgeous coneflowers. I have this variety in my garden. This is Powwow Wildberry, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it just goes on forever. So this one's here, as I said, Powwow Wildberry Coneflower. It's an upright perennial. It is full sun. These are $8.98. These are the Lowe's house brand. And it gets to, it's hardy to zone 3, which is -30 degrees. It gets to be 15 to 18 inches high and 12 to 18 inches wide. Here's a perennial I've been debating putting in my garden, but some people say that they could be a little bit of a garden thug, or that the obedient plant isn't very obedient. Let me know what your experience is. But I like these because they kind of look like a mid to late summer version of a foxglove, where they start blooming at the bottom and then they go upward. And they have this tubular shaped flower, which would be really great for pollinators and hummingbirds. And I'm looking to add a little bit more white to my garden. So yeah, I was considering these, but this here is the Crystal Peak Obedient plant. And it is hardy to zone 3 or -30 degrees. It gets to be 12 to 18 inches high and 12 to 15 inches wide. Full sun. And these are on their way out. They're spent, but you can still see some blooms. Check out these gorgeous coneflowers. These are called Delicious Candy, and look how big the cones are on them. They look like a little strawberry, actually. Let's see, let's check these out. So these are in those larger containers for $14.98. It's called Delicious Candy Coneflower. And it is hardy to zone 4. Oop, broke off. Let's put that back on. Zone 4, -20 degrees. They get to be 18 to 24 inches high and 14 to 16 inches wide. And these are $14.98. They look to be maybe 1.5 gallons or so, but I thought these were really interesting. Here's another version of Black-Eyed Susan for fall color. This one is full sun. This one is called Sonora, and it has this double petal going on with this beautiful dark brown burgundy around the center. Really pretty. These also seem to be a little bit shorter. Well, they top out at 24 inches high and 18 inches wide. They are hardy to zone 5 or -10 degrees. But these are really pretty blooms. Even for a container, if you wanted to throw these in a container for fall and then find a spot for them in your landscape, it would be really pretty. I'm taking a look at the clearance rack, and I actually spotted a shrub that I've been eyeballing for the last few weeks. Every time I come here, I've been keeping an eye on it, and it's on the clearance rack today, so you know what that means. I'm definitely getting one. So let's see here. I'll tell you what it is. So this is a first edition shrub. Let me get some better lighting. It's a first edition shrub. It's called Iceberg Alley Sage Leaf Willow. And it has this beautiful icy blue-green, almost like a little bit of a gray color, kind of like the color of eucalyptus. And it is a full sun exposure. The lighting is a little tough right now, so let's see. Full sun exposure, silver foliage, medium to high water needs. It's hardy to zone 2, which is really hardy. And it is, the size on this gets to be 3 to 6 feet high, 3 to 6 feet wide. So I'm gonna grab one of these at 50% off. So they were $27.98 for a 2-gallon. So we're gonna pay about $14 for that. So that's a great buy, really excited. They have a few more Proven Winners Shrubs on clearance. They have this Checkmark Trilogy. It is a Weigelia that has 3 different colors of blooms on them: light pink, white, and a little bit darker pink. Yeah, it's a little crispy, but if you clean this up and give it some water, maybe a drink of fish emulsion, they typically perk up if they're not too far gone. You just have to look for signs of new growth. Like for example, right here, you can see that there is some signs of life in this shrub. So it'd be worth a gamble at half price. So this was $27.98. Now it is about $14 at 50% off. They also have these Arctic Fire red twig dogwoods, another shrub that would be wonderful to pick up for your winter interest. These will get these fiery red in the winter. So if you're in an area of the US or anywhere that you get some snow, imagine the winter interest with these red twigs standing up with the snow. Beautiful. So these are $29.98 at 50% off. It would be about $15. And it still looks in relatively good shape, and you can see there is some new foliage emerging on the stems. So certainly a good sign. And these get to be, these are sun to part sun, and they have winter interest and fall because their foliage changes color. And they're hardy in zones 2 to 7, and they get 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. Another dogwood here on the clearance rack. This one is by First Editions. It's called Cayenne. And so this one would probably, based on the name Cayenne, I would imagine that it also has red, you know, it turns red in the fall, but it's something in the winter rather. Something you can certainly look up. Let's see what the description says. Bright red stems, yes. So the very first line tells us, bright red stems in winter with fresh green foliage all summer, followed by porcelain blue berries in late summer. And so this would be really great. And look at the fall color, that burgundy color on the foliage. So multi-season interest shrubs are wonderful to have in the landscape. So at $27.98, 50% off, it'd be about $14. And they have a lot of these. Look at that, a whole pallet full. So if somebody wanted to do a drift of these, imagine the impact of those red twigs in the snow. Gorgeous. And here's what I'm picking up today. I'm gonna get this Iceberg Alley Sage Leaf Willow. Look how much that looks like, say, a lamb's ear foliage, for example. I'm so excited with this shrub, especially now that I found it at 50% off. So we're gonna pick that up. And I'm also gonna get one of these Sugar Tip Rose of Sharon, the variegated foliage with this pretty light pink bloom that was on sale for $20. So that's my haul today. Thanks for coming along. I hope that you enjoyed this tour, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and please subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos, and we'll see you soon.